Okay, we have some breaking news. I'm going to eat this, and we're going to throw it to Jessica, who's got some breaking news for us on WCIA.
We have some more breaking news out of the Brent Christensen sentencing today at the federal courthouse in Peoria. We are waiting for a news conference to start. As we told you earlier this afternoon, Christensen is sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of release for kidnapping and killing U of I scholar Yingying Zhang. We're going to send you to that news conference right now. I believe the U.S. attorney is speaking at the moment.
Family of Yingying, who have suffered an unimaginable tragedy thousands of miles away from their home. They have showed an incredible amount of resolve and strength. They are here. They were here throughout the entire trial supporting Yingying. I need to also thank the Federal Bureau of Investigations who investigated this case, specifically Special Agent Anthony Manganaro and Andy Huckstadt, who worked tirelessly for 2 years to make sure this defendant was brought to justice. And it was a team effort and a coordinated law enforcement effort with the University of Illinois Police Department, the Illinois State Police, the McHenry County Sheriff's Department, the Champaign-Urbana Mass Transit District, who all worked to solve this case and then prosecute this case. I also need to thank the trial team, who along with the special agents from the FBI, Eugene Miller, Brian Freris, Jim Nelson from the Capital Case Section in Washington, D.C., Stacy Clare, Jimmy Henton, all from our office, worked tirelessly the last 2 years and during this trial for the last several weeks, knowing that Yingying deserved everything they had, and they gave it everything they had to bring this defendant to justice. I also need to thank Sharon Paul from the Central District and her team, she's our victim witness coordinator, who worked with the family throughout this incredibly difficult process. It is unimaginable to think of something happening to a son or daughter, but then in a foreign country, in a different language, how difficult and horrible that must be. Sharon was helped to a large extent by Zidong Wong and Steve Beckett, who are representatives of the family, and they are here and were very, very helpful throughout this process, working with the family, helping them in what is an incredibly impossible to describe event and tragic event that happened to them. We respect the decision of the jury. We would not have asked for the death penalty if we did not believe it was appropriate given the facts in this case, given what this defendant did to Yingying. But we respect the decision of the jury. It is a hope and a sincere hope that the family has some sense of justice and some sense of closure in this case. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Wang and Mr. Beckett.
So Mr. Zhang will speak first. He will speak in Chinese, and then Mr. Wang will translate, and we'll try to do this in paragraphs. And I do have the remarks here in writing if you guys could pass them out amongst yourselves.
今天陪审团已经做出决定，庭审已经结束，Yingying却仍然没有回家。我们的目标从来就是，也将一致是带Yingying回家。除非做到这一点，我们将不会得到平静，也不会放心。
The jury has spoken, and the trial is over. But Yingying is not home. Our goal is, and has always been to bring Ying Ying home. Unless and until we're able to do that, we will not have the peace or closure.
我们理解一位或者是几位陪审员不能做出被告判死刑的决定，尽管我们不同意这样的结果，我们可以接受犯罪将在监狱里度过余生。这将在一次意义上弥补不了我们的创伤。我们希望他在监狱里面有一天能感受到我们失去隐隐的感受的痛苦。
We understand that one or more of the jurors could not make the judgment that the defendant deserves a death penalty in this case. Well, we do not agree with the result. However, we accept that he will spend the rest of his life in prison, which still reflects our loss in a meaningful way. We hope that every day he spends in prison, he feels the pain and the suffering that we feel for the loss of Ying Ying.
我们再次感谢检察官、警官和其他执法人员为莹莹讨回公道付出的努力。我们感谢法庭人员在法庭中对我的照顾。我们感谢伊利诺伊大学和伊利诺伊中部的中国社区，也感谢所有在美国、中国的华人和各地支持我渡过难关的人们。我们被所有的人带来了善意和友谊的感动着。
Once again, we thank the prosecutors and law enforcement officers and their staff for their work in seeking justice for Ying Ying. We thank the judge and court personnel for their consideration during the trial. We thank the Chinese community at the University of Illinois and in Central Illinois and everyone else in the United States, China, and around the world who supported us during this difficult time. We're touched by the warmth and the friendship that has been shown to all of us.
现在庭审已经结束，陪审团也做出了决定。我们要求被告无条件地告诉我们莹莹的下落。如果你的灵魂中还残留有任何人性的，请帮助结束我们的煎熬，请让我们带莹莹回家。
Now the trial is over, and the jury had made its decision. We ask the defendant to unconditionally tell us what he knows about Ying Ying's location. If you have any humanity left in your soul, please help end our torment. Please let us bring Ying Ying home. Thank you.
我要说几句。
I want to add something. For myself, the result today seemed to tell me that I can kill anyone, and that I can kill anyone with all kinds of cruel method I want, and I will not need to die for it. And I'd better take some drugs, some alcohol before I do it. And I'd better act as a loner, and then people will not think I'm dangerous people. So for me, for my own personal opinion, the result today seemed to encouraging people to do crimes. And me, myself, will never agree with that. But for me, I do appreciate the hard working in these 2 months of the jury, and also the prosecutor, the judge, and all the lawyers, and everyone in the court. I'm very, very grateful to your work. I'm very, very grateful to that.
Why don't you say that in Chinese? Say that in Chinese.
我想就用中文再表达一下，我对所有人的感谢，不单是我，还有所有的家人。这2个月以及这2年的时间，对于我们来说都是一个特别不容易的时间。但是在我们身边，总有很多人给我们支持，给我们鼓励，给我们陪伴，而且一起努力帮助我们找回正义，帮助我们找到阴影。这里边有美国的警察、检察官、陪审团、法官、我们的律师，还有很多的媒体、很多的朋友，非常非常多的人，我没有办法一一列举他们的名字，但是我也无法用言语描述我们心里对于他们有多么多么的感谢。可能我们都没有机会可以和他们面对面说我们有多么的感谢。所以我想今天借这个窗口，想告诉他们，尽管我们非常的痛苦，但是对于所有人的支持和帮助，我们一辈子都不会忘记。谢谢大家。
So again, we're going to say this in English and then in Chinese. We've been helping Yingying Zhang's family for over 2 years now, and we've come to know them as kind, decent people who grieve the loss of their beautiful daughter. Everyone in the United States, in Canada, and really around the world, who have heard or read about this case knows of the pain and anguish this family has suffered and continues to suffer as a result of the defendant's heinous conduct.
2年多了，我们一直在帮助张莹莹的家人，我们有机会了解他们的淳朴和善良，因为失去他们美丽的女儿而悲伤不已。每个在美国、中国和世界各地听过和读过这个案件的人，都会体会这个家庭因为被告极其残忍的行径所遭受的痛苦和煎熬，而且这样的痛苦仍将持续。
As attorneys, it has been our honor to guide Yingying's loved ones through this complicated legal process and to advise them as unexpected participants in the American criminal justice system. As parents ourselves, we have tried to comfort them during this darkest time in their lives. In China, and in many other places around the world, the criminal justice system moves faster than in America. The American criminal justice system is slower and more deliberate, with the goal of being a verdict that is fair and truly just. This case is a good example of the American system of justice. The result in this case reflects the diligent professional work of so many people. It would be impossible to thank all of them. The University of Illinois Police, the FBI, the other enforcement agencies, and the offices of the United States Attorney for the Central District of Illinois and the United States Department of Justice. Really, everyone who worked on this case at both the guilt and penalty phases have been professionals committed to justice for Yingying.
作为律师，我们有幸在这个复杂的法律过程中协助莹莹的亲人，在他们不得已要参与到美国刑事司法程序时，提供指导。我们也是家长，我们尽力在他们人生最黑暗的时刻安慰他们。在中国，在世界的很多地方，刑事司法系统运作的比美国快。美国的刑事司法系统比较缓慢和慎重，为的是获得一个真正公平的判决。尽管我们不同意今天的结果，这个结果是美国司法系统运作的一个范例，它反映了许多人的努力和专业的工作，包括 伊利诺伊大学警察、FBI 和其他的执法部门，美国伊利诺伊州中部地区检察官办公室和美国司法部，我们感谢为莹莹伸张正义，在本案的定罪和量刑阶段中工作的每一位专业人士。
We appreciate the prosecutors, Eugene Miller, Jim Nelson, Brian Ferris, for keeping us informed as much as possible so that we could inform and advise Ying Ying's family at every stage of this case. Frankly, we found it difficult at times to have to inform the family about difficult and different aspects of the case. And we want to acknowledge the patience and understanding that Wang Gao Zhao, Li Fangjie, and Yang Zhang, and Yao Linhu have shown us as we did our best to keep them informed.
我们感谢检察官尽可能的在案件的每个阶段，让莹莹的家人和我们了解情况，参与意见。有时和家人沟通案情并不容易，甚至很沉重。我们已经尽全力让他们了解情况。感谢张荣高、叶丽凤、张新阳和侯肖林在这个过程中对我们的理解和耐心。
While the verdict in this case brings Ying Ying's family some comfort, they won't have closure unless and until they're able to bring Ying Ying back home. That has been their goal all along. We share the frustration of many that Ying Ying's remains have not been found. We continue to hope that ultimately her remains are located and she can be reunited with her parents and loved ones in China.
尽管定罪判决给予了莹莹家人些许安慰，但没有能够带莹莹回家，仍然持续着他们的痛苦。这是家人一直以来的愿望。莹莹的遗体下落不明，使我们大家共同处在沮丧和失望之中。我们仍然希望能够找到莹莹，使她最终能够回到她在中国的父母和亲人身边。
Thank you.
谢谢各位。
That's it. We have nothing else to report other than the efforts to locate Ying Ying have not stopped. They have not stopped when they started 2 years ago, and they'll continue. Thank you.
You were just watching a news conference live from the federal courthouse in Peoria following the sentencing of Brent Christensen. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of release for kidnapping and killing U of I scholar Ying Zhang in June of 2017. He was also given an additional 5 years for lying to the FBI. Prosecutors said in that press conference they respect the decision of the jury. Ying Zhang's family was there. Her mother clearly emotional. You saw that. Her father spoke, saying that Ying Ying's not home. Their goal is to bring her home. They will not have peace or closure until that happens. They asked Christensen to tell them about her location, asking, quote, if you have any humanity left in your soul, to please do that. Her fiance there had some strong words about the results of today's sentencing, saying that he thinks it will encourage people to do crime. Of course, we will have much more on this sentencing tonight at 5 and 6, and we have a special edition of 30 Minutes at 6:30 where we will break down this case from start to finish. We will be right back.